news you can count on. You're watching WTVM News Leader 9. Sponsored by Montlick & Associates, Columbus Injury Attorneys.
Thanks for joining us for News Leader 9 at 5 on this Election Day 2016. I'm Barbara Goche.
And I'm Jason Dennis. This is it, one of the longest campaign seasons in election history. Coming down to this is voters from all over heading to the polls.
ABC's Lana Zach and Marcy Gonzalez has the very latest.
Good evening. This campaign has captivated and in some cases fatigued Americans unlike any before it. Still, there is palpable excitement here where Donald Trump is expected to have his campaign party or concession speech later tonight. The election reaches its apex today, and Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, seemed lighthearted as he cast his ballot in New York City.
Tough decision.
But for many Americans, it has been tough.
It's been a very difficult process. It's not about this year who you're voting for. It's almost about who you're voting against.
The latest polls show an uphill battle for Trump, who is back on Twitter today with a final appeal.
Everybody's talking about the record turnout at the polls. It's amazing, but please go to the polls. We have a movement going on. They've never seen anything like it.
Already today, the Trump campaign has filed a lawsuit against a polling location in Nevada. The judge has dismissed that claim. However, it may be an indication that this campaign may continue beyond this evening. Lana Zach, ABC News from Trump campaign headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. My colleague Marcy Gonzalez is just across town with the Clinton campaign.
Yeah, after 576 days of campaigning, this is the final stop. You can see the stage being set here where Clinton, along with a huge group of supporters, will end this election day.
The Democratic presidential candidate met this morning by a cheering crowd near her home in Chappaqua, New York.
Hillary! Hillary!
As Hillary Clinton voted for herself in this historic election, vying to be the first female commander-in-chief.
I'll do the very best I can if I'm fortunate enough to win today.
After a late night on the campaign trail, Clinton spending the rest of this election day prepping for tonight and what she hopes will be a celebration under the largest glass ceiling in New York City.
There's no coincidence with the symbolism behind this place. Yet, along with a victory speech, Clinton aides say she also has a concession speech written, ready for either outcome tonight. Live in New York, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
All right, Marcy and Lana, thank you so much. And we've got team coverage across the valley as voters are still at the polls. News Leader 9's Irisha Jones is following the vote for the property tax freeze.
And our Emily Arroyo is following the contested Muskogee County Sheriff's race, along with our Elizabeth White with the latest on our East Alabama races. News Leader 9 has been following reports of how some voters in Muskogee County also say they're experiencing some issues at the polls. Our Jose Zozaya explains what early morning voters encountered.
All Election Day morning, News Leader 9 has received several calls and emails from concerned voters who say that when they arrived to their voting precinct and handed their IDs to volunteers, they were told that they had already cast their ballot. We headed out to the precinct at Columbus Technical College. Here we saw plenty of voters making their way over to the machines, but we could also see a line off to the left. This group had been told by poll workers their ballots had already been cast. Some voters said they'd spent at least half an hour in that line and that most of them were able to vote and make their way back to work. One frustrated citizen, however, couldn't wait any longer and left without exercising his vote.
That whole line there, they said everybody in that line had voted, which none of us had.
With the number of calls and emails we've received on the matter, we reached out to the Muskogee County Elections Office to see why some voters are being told they voted twice. One official believes this confusion stems from a problem with mail-in ballots that started back in the primary elections.
A lot of people, you don't have to have a reason to receive an absentee ballot. And so a lot of people have called and asked for absentee ballots, and we send them to them. But they decide to go and vote instead. And if we haven't received the absentee ballot as being returned to us, then they can vote. And I think that that's what the problem has been.
The Muskogee County Elections Office urges any voters who may have experienced this problem to contact the special hotline. You can find that number on our website, WTVM.com. Reporting in Columbus, Jose Zozaya for News Leader 9.
And as voting continues for a few more hours, people in Columbus will see one question on the ballot that's been controversial for more than a year, and it involves property taxes. News Leader 9's Arisha Jones is standing by to break down what a yes vote will mean for Muskogee County homeowners. So, yeah, definitely a controversial issue, Arisha.
Well, that's right, Barbara. With strong opinions on both sides whether or not to thaw or keep a property tax freeze, this is how the issue reads on the ballot. Shall the act be approved, which eliminates the current base year assessed value homestead exemption for purposes of Muskogee County school and consolidated city-county government ad valorem taxes for homestead property acquired after January 1st, 2017? A yes vote on those in favor of the thaw the freeze would change property tax values for homes bought after the new year. In September, Mayor Teresa Tomlinson was quoted saying the reason is called a thaw and not lifting of the freeze is because the freeze would actually just be retired and continue to exist for homeowners who currently have it. She goes on to say the property tax freeze system will be replaced overall by a fair market system being used now in much of Georgia. But folks opposing the thaw say the current freeze is fair to all homeowners. Coming up on the news at 6, I'll break down what a no vote will mean for those who want to keep the freeze in place. Back to you, Barbara and Jason.
Yeah, it could make a big difference for a lot of people. Arisha, thank you.
And also up for grabs, the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office. It's a race that started out with some controversy as multiple candidates got disqualified over paperwork confusion. And our Emily Arroyo continues our live team election coverage outside the City Services Center. And Emily, voting's still going on there, right?
That's right. And one thing voters are deciding on is the fate of the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office. It was pretty much smooth sailing through the primaries since disqualifications left only one independent, Democrat, and Republican candidate on the ballot. So tonight they're finally facing some real opposition each other. Republican Mark LaJoy addressed his voters on Facebook talking about changes he wants to see if he gets elected, including dropping a lawsuit against the city of Columbus. Democratic nominee Donna Tompkins elaborated on her 30 years of experience with the sheriff's office in her recent campaign ad, also mentioning changes she wants to see. Incumbent and independent Sheriff John Barr lured voters this year with reforms he's made in office to the Muskogee County jail system, along with faith-based substance abuse treatment programs. Now, we'll continue to follow this race throughout the night along with all the other races, and we're interested to see if any of those disqualified candidates were able to pull in some numbers as a write-in option. I'll send it back to you guys in studio for now.
All right, thanks very much, Emily, live from the City Services Center in Columbus. And in Georgia, voters are deciding on several amendments, including the controversial Opportunity School District Amendment. Amendment 1, if passed, would give the state the ability to take over failing schools. The governor would have the power to appoint an Opportunity School Superintendent, and that person would have the ability to fire school administrators or turn the school into a charter. A no vote on this amendment today would keep school systems the way they are as of now.
To the other side of the river now, where East Alabama is experiencing a historic turnout for this presidential election. News Leader 9's Elizabeth White joins us live from the Clarion Hotel, the largest precinct in Lee County. And Elizabeth, election officials saying the lines to vote are unprecedented. I saw your noon live shot there. Boy, those lines are long.
You know what? And the lines are getting even longer as people get off work. But I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way so you can take a live look at really a historic vote happening here in Lee County. You can see the line to get in to vote here at the Clarion Inn in Auburn is 2 stories tall, but we're told the line is moving relatively fast, between an hour and an hour and a half from start to finish. Now, election officials say for the first time in history, Lee County has more than 100,000 registered voters. Today's estimated voter turnout, a record 65%. So thankfully, poll workers are doing the best they can to get folks in and out. And the voters we have spoken with today are actually glad to see the long lines. Of course, the big draw is obviously this presidential election. However, East Alabama voters are also marking their ballots for the U.S. Senate race between Democrat Ron Crumpton and incumbent in that race, Republican Richard Shelby. Now, voters are also voting in the U.S. Representatives' 3rd Congressional District race between between Republican incumbent Mike Rogers and his challenger, Democrat Jesse Smith. So there's still plenty of time to vote here in East Alabama. Polls are open until 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. And this is really important for viewers to understand. Sheriff Jay Jones says if you get in this line by 7 p.m. Central Time tonight, you will be allowed to vote. It just may take a couple hours for you to get your ballot. But again, if you're in line by 7 p.m. Central Time, you will be allowed to vote. Barbara, Jason, back to you.
Yeah, it looks like it's moving pretty good too there, Elizabeth. All right, thank you. Staying in Alabama, voters will answer 3 questions today that could impact Auburn University, the state parks, and impeachment investigations. If passed, Amendment 1 would add 2 positions to the Auburn Board of Trustees, allowing for more diversity. Amendment 2, if passed, would allow state parks to keep money they raise, meaning lawmakers will not be allowed to take money for the general fund. Amendment 6 could change Alabama's impeachment procedures. If it passes, a 2/3 vote would be needed in the Senate to convict an impeached official.
And we've got you covered online as well. We've got complete coverage of this historic election on our website, WTVM.com. All you have to do is click on the election coverage banner that's there at the top of our homepage. One of the items you'll find is an interactive map of early voting across Georgia. We also have all the results listed on the page, which we will continue to update as they come into our newsroom, and those early voting numbers records across Georgia.
Absolutely. Polls are open until 7 Eastern in Georgia, 7 Central Time in Alabama. For parts of Russell County that observe Eastern Time, that's until 8 tonight. We'll have continuing coverage of the elections here on News Leader 9. Live team coverage continues on air beginning right after the polls close and throughout the night. And you can follow all of the results on the free mobile app. We'll also have live Facebook cut-ins on our Facebook page in between our local on-air cut-ins tonight. So we have got you covered on all fronts there tonight. All right, it has been a cloudy day as voters have been steadily streaming through polling places today, but no rain to keep people at home. And you can see lots of folks turning out. You're looking live right now. This is out in East Alabama, where you see at the Clarion Hotel, where folks are casting their ballots tonight.
They've got some cover there, but they don't need it because no rain really on the way at all. Storm Team 9 Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid has a look at our Election Day forecast.
Guys, thanks for staying. A few more hours, of course, out there for folks to vote, and no problems. The clouds are still with us. We noticed some showers down to the south, but a lot of what you see here not actually reaching the ground. We've been tracking that for the past day or so. Good chance of rain well south of here. Unfortunately, nothing like that around here. We, of course, would love dry weather on Election Day, but it would be nice to help break out of this drought. But no rain in the forecast anytime soon. Our temperatures right now on the cool side, 66 in Columbus, making it 63. So where those clouds have been in place today, those numbers have stayed in the 60s. And as we break down the rest of your evening, no issues again for voters still standing in line. It will be cooling off rather quickly, though, after 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, back down into the 50s. So don't forget to get the hour-by-hour weather via that WTVM weather app if you're on the go this evening. We'll have your full forecast right after the commercial break.
All right, Derek, thank you. Some other news going on today as well. A shooting causes a scare as a Phoenix City school went into a lockdown. Where police say the shooting happened is straight ahead.
And the site of the worst shooting spree in American history will not be forgotten. We'll tell you what the city of Orlando is planning to do with the nightclub where those shootings took place.
And our coverage of this historic election day continuing. Thousands have already voted, but you still have time to get out and vote. This is a live picture now from East Alabama at the Clarion Hotel, where folks are indeed voting tonight.
A lot of folks voting in Auburn. This is the biggest voting place in Lee County, and we're going to have updates on all these races coming up later tonight.
News Leader 9 is sponsored by your local Ford dealer. Go further. Tonight we'll decide the direction of our country, our state, and WTVM is here to bring you unmatched local and national coverage with up-to-the-minute results on air, online, on mobile, and social. Download the WTVM app today.